Hello, hello, hello. RLE Technologies here. Michael Hadt introducing WiNG integration with Niagara 4. Excited to have Nick Hilpisch with us, certified Niagara trainer out of Building Controls Group in Minnesota, to participate with this because one of his expertise, two of his ability to integrate and understand and simplify it all. But three, just the great job he's done with the technology and helping to drive visibility into solving different problems. You know, the one thing that I don't think ever really gets discussed enough is understanding your building's migration path. So we're going to talk about integration of the technology, WiNG into Niagara 4, overlaying it with some graphics as well as alarms and trends. But I think the big thing to take a step back and look at is really to understand where is my building in its life cycle? How could I optimize performance? How can I gain better visibility? And how can I protect the assets and infrastructure in this facility? So that's what we're going to be going over today. What you're looking at here is just a simple integration we're going to perform with a few of the live WiNG 900 megahertz transmitters from RLE Technologies. The couple that we have here are a WiNG temp humidity, a WiNG leak detection, and a WiNG thermistor 10K2 input from an external sensor. As you look down again, the couple of notes that I always like to make is underneath the sensors on the left navigation tree, there's the wireless network metrics, if you want to select that. Always good to know the signal strength of your sensors, as well as how good the signal is closest to -30 dBm is the goal. So if it starts to stray into the -90 or larger, you'll probably see a little connectivity issue. So obviously that's when a range extender would be deployed into the field to strengthen that signal. So if you want to go back to the sensor real fast and connect, I should say, click the WiNG TH real fast. We're doing some basic stuff inside of the web user interface here with the WiNG manager, but on the right hand side is the sensor objects, which is really the key to the integration aspect that I wanted to showcase today, which is the points and how they will be discovered into your Niagara 4 system. So you know, we have Modbus, BACnet, and SNMP points that are all available as output points integrated to an enterprise system. Any kind of system that accepts those points ought to accept our Modbus, BACnet, and SNMP points as well. So the few points you can see, just to note them out, with the model and field name actually is the name is something that you'll see the WiNG TH will carry over into the integration of Niagara 4, so as a facet it carries over. The reading 1, 2 is the temp humidity, and reading 3 is the calculated dew point. You can see that the battery level is a point that can be integrated, and then also you know, the different offline alarm delays and different things like that are all important with a wireless deployment, different aspects that you can alarm on in your system as an integrated point. So what we'll do now is, since these points are already up and rolling in the WiNG manager, we'll click over to the station in Niagara. And my man Nick here with Building Controls Group is going to showcase some of the graphical overlay that's been performed, as well as some of the alarm functions and the overall discovery of these points into Niagara, into an existing station, to obviously expand capability, protection, integration capabilities, and ultimately system optimization and indoor air quality throughout the different spaces available. So Nick, go ahead and roll through a few of these points if you don't mind.
Yeah, so for people that are familiar, I just have a demo station set up that came from a site that I built. I added a BACnet network. The WiNG manager pushes out the points via BACnet for this. I can view my device manager. Here's Mike's wireless IP address. It's BACnet IP. And if I go underneath that, I can discover some points, which I have already added, but just to show that there's not a whole lot of smoke and mirrors, I did just perform a real discovery. It's all live. Here are those names that we were talking about that carry over. Those were the ones equivalent to these guys right here. So I just broke it down into some different BACnet folders for the different sensors. I brought in every point for each sensor. And then I just tried to make it look as real as possible, or like as much of a real life application. So if I start from the home page, I did things like on my graphic for my cooling system, I put the leak detector on that page. This stuff is all yellow and orange because it's an offline version of this station. But these data points are all good data. This is all real data, right? Live. So you could put something like a leak detector on your boiler page or cooling tower page or something like that. As I click around, I'll try to talk my navigation clicks. This is the floor plan of the building, and if I click on a section, it'll kind of zoom in, so to speak. And I'll click on this area. This is where I put a couple of the sensors. So you can see I've done a few things for visual cues. Here's my WiNG TH, and it's flashing red because I put an alarm on the point. And here's my WiNG Therm. It is flashing because it was an alarm and it's no longer an alarm. So that's what the blinking is meaning. So this could be a real wireless sensor sensing temp and humidity in the men's bathroom. This could be the WiNG thermistor sensing a real temperature in a classroom. And another thing that I did is, and this may not always be a real life case, but if you had a bunch of WiNG THs in an area, you could create a page that has all of those TH sensors lined up in data boxes. A lot of people like the consolidated text pages. So a couple of things that we have going on here. Flashing temperature, this was an alarm. It's no longer an alarm. This one is currently in alarm, and I can demonstrate taking it out of alarm. And these over here were an alarm too. So I didn't have a real good real life case for the leak detector. So I have just something next to me. It's just a wet paper towel. And if I hold my leak detector down on that paper towel, we should see these data points go into alarm. And this information can be represented differently if you wanted to. So here's my leak detection. And so we get more information out of this if we choose to set it up. For example, on each one of these, I have a history being collected, and these little orange triangles provide a little pop-up. So this is something that I created, and it defaults to today's information. So I can click on any of these and view a quick trend graph of the day. The sensor reading age is kind of a neat graph, and I'll configure it to be more of like a binary type style, so we can see samplings of every time it sampled the data or updated that sensor data life, it graphed it here, so we can see.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so if you have one that's consistently up in the 30s or down here, you'd be able to see that over time too if you wanted to.
Well, and a good note to make there on that graph is the average reading is between 10 and 20 seconds. So
right. Yep.
I think that kind of validates that as well. Obviously within good range. So.
Oh yeah. My office is only so big.
Sure.
So in addition to those history pop-ups, I add little alarm configuration pop-ups to my stations. So if I wanted to adjust the parameters for the temperature alarm, I get a similar pop-up, and if 81 is too low, maybe 90 is a more reasonable high temperature alarm. I can adjust that, and you can see the alarm went away. It's no longer an alarm. I got rid of any reasonable alarm delays because we're doing a demo, but you might have 5-minute delays in there. So I have that on all my points for these wireless sensors. If an alarm does get generated, Niagara has an alarm console, and there's a million different ways to go about configuring this, but this is my visual cue that something in the station has been going wrong. And I have that everywhere, every page, and I'll just click on that icon, and this is the alarm console. So, and this information is a combination of what I've set up and what you just happen to get with Niagara, like, timestamp that just comes with it. But some of these message texts I can play with.
Well, and these are the alarms too that are going to be output through the Niagara platform out to an end user via email. So this is certainly a dynamic way to create, manage, and also acknowledge the different trends, right? Because isn't that why some of these things are blinking? So if you select it and then acknowledge that those are okay.
Yes. Yeah, so we'll focus on the TH here, these 2 points that were an alarm. They went back to normal. That's what this green bell indicates. And if I acknowledge those, and I go back to any of the pages that had that sensor on it, you can see it stopped blinking. And if I view that, I can see that my temperature and humidity points stopped blinking. So there's a lot of visual cues involved in Niagara. And the colors and the blinking are just one of them.
Well, and I think also a good point to make is you set the trend data for these points at I think it was 3 minutes or something like that. So
yeah.
Really, I mean, when you get into the analytics side of what you're trying to accomplish, that's really a function of how much server space you have. So, I mean, how nitty do you want to get into trending different data, whether that's for the purpose of commissioning different systems or connecting them for the, obviously the purpose of optimizing performance.
For an example, or just for this demo, I picked on the TH a lot because it has a lot of good data. If this red line went to this classroom instead, I have a unit in that room already, and maybe the WiNG TH is being used as some auxiliary sensor for extra control. And so on this particular graphic, I added the information from that sensor onto my already existing graphic. Maybe we have what some people call a side loop going on in that controller, or maybe you have the leak detector in every classroom. These sensors can be integrated into a larger system, and this is all seamless to the end user. So they just see a classroom graphic with all the information that's pertinent to it. They don't know that there might be 2 or 3 different controllers or sensors involved in the control.
Right. It's all about the outcome and creating a migration path and, looking at some of the spaces you're existing in your existing account base and servicing and helping them achieve greater outcome simply through the use of additional data sampling. And, a lot of these sites and buildings have all been deployed and contracted out. And, times have changed a little bit. And, space utilization is a key phrase now and how different groups are congregating in different spaces. So, like the CO2 reset is just as important as ever today. And certainly accomplishable through the use of one of our WiNG analog transmitters connected to any CO2 device manufacturer output. So, it opens the door for a lot of optimization inside of systems, especially when you start looking at differential air pressure, air velocity in some cases, maybe even food quality and safety with different RTD and thermistors for refrigerators and freezers that,
Mhm.
obviously some of these buildings and cafeterias aren't quite as full as used to be. So, even leak detection, I hate to admit it, I love to talk about it, I hate to admit it out loud, is something extremely important in a lot of these buildings as well,
Oh yeah.
especially in these commercial buildings where there's a lot of bathrooms and a lot of piping throughout these spaces and fewer people today in some of these buildings. So having some extra level of protection, even with carbon monoxide monitoring, using an analog transmitter as well, are very important aspects inside of the quality of air inside of these schools and different spaces
Yep.
that we're performing service on, and ultimately attempting to help improve the overall safety. And but it's not just sensing it. Nick, I know you can attest. You need other equipment to help push and pull and ventilate air and all of that. So this is just a step in the process to help enable that outcome.
Yep. I've seen many sites that they just have a giant queue of alarms that they've never addressed, they didn't know, or they don't care to check. Um, and one big thing that we've seen with wireless in particular is the batteries. And I know battery technology has come a really long way, but they still do eventually wear out. And in some older systems, you wouldn't know it until your sensors stop reading. So we can actually monitor the battery voltage on all these. And if you have a deployment of, say, 100 sensors, you could be chasing your tail every day trying to find, dead batteries, where, we could set up a Niagara system, have these emailed or text messaged or a special way to check them, and then you know exactly where to go and what sensors to fix or replace batteries on. So that's I think a really great point to bring in for this wireless system.
Absolutely, and with an industry leading up to 12-year battery life on the standard wireless 900 and 868 megahertz transmitters, pretty irregular that you would need to be changing them out. But it's absolutely one of the biggest things that was always a headache with wireless, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the batteries changing out every 2 or 3 years is, I mean, it's expensive and a big time consuming process. Maybe on the front end it saves some money, but in year 6 or year 9, it's pretty expensive deal. So, we're
Yep.
pretty excited to have that up to 12-year battery life. And again, with the Wi-Fi transmitter that's been deployed in a variety of different commercial as well as school, university spaces. Obviously, they all got typically pretty good Wi-Fi, so it's easy to pop these guys on a network. If you're looking at a typical 5-minute interval, or if you even didn't need it more than every 10 minutes or something, that would save on battery life. But again, even on the Wi-Fi side of things, our battery lives are pretty exceptional.
Oh yeah. Yep. I've been pretty satisfied with them. I think it's fantastic. I come from a 15-year background, and I've done wireless systems where you don't know, the age of the data or the battery voltage. And this right here just allows you to get, that extra fine monitoring of your systems, for, even just preventative maintenance. We can analyze temperature and humidity. That stuff's all built into Niagara. Once you get the data, you can manipulate it almost any way you want to. But without the data, you're kind of in the dark. And these
Right.
these are a great addition, I think.
Our differential air pressure transmitter for filter status,
Sure.
is an easy deployment, or even our WiNG thermistor with a pipe strap sensor, so your
Yeah.
hot water pipe temps, with a pipe strap sensor, right? But
Yep.
those are just a couple of very simple ways to deploy technology to get more data to make sure that you're doing things all the right way, and especially with how much Niagara is out in the marketplace, being an enabler to be able to take 10, 20, 50 more pieces of data to either protect your environment, optimize system performance, or just simply give you visibility of what's going on, I think is a win in all three buckets. So,
Oh yeah. And I do have an example. So we don't have it set up for the demo, but you can email and text message alarms. Emails and text messages are essentially the same thing, handled the same in Niagara. They just, your email, if it's a text message, it's your phone number. I do have an example here that I can move over to this screen. This is an email system that I have set up. And here we have a VAV with a zone temp, where the zone temp is over its high limit, whatever they set in there for the high limit. Timestamp, the state that it's currently in. And you can add other information to these emails too, like perhaps a hyperlink right to the login page for your site or whatever it might be. So we can do email and text message. This is a real site. It is a capability of the system,
Good. Well, I think the biggest things we wanted to accomplish today, Nick, were, I believe, accomplished. We wanted to showcase some of the integration between Niagara and the RLE WiNG product.
Yeah.
We wanted to show the overlay onto a graphic, some of the alarm page you have here, some of the different ways that you have alarm extensions set up, drive the visibility and overall integration. I think we did a pretty good job today. Kind of covering the basics, right? I mean, we can get a lot deeper into a lot of different things, but really the goal was just to kind of showcase a few of the basic areas of where integration can impact different systems. And a lot of these systems already exist. So really it's just the deployment of some extra technology to help drive or, as I like to say, enable the outcome desired. So,
yeah.
Hey, I appreciate all your help on this and going through this. Building Controls Group has been an outstanding partner. Being able to take our equipment out to different sites and leverage some of their contractor network to basically walk into every site with our WiNG manager and make it work is knowing the track record of the different buildings and types you've been in. I'm pretty excited to have Building Controls Group as a partner and helping to spread the word. So. Thanks for all you do and all your integration capabilities and being a Niagara certified trainer. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yep, just got that.
Certainly a big deal there. So until next time, we'll create some more content around some different points here. But I think this is a good start to integrating our products into different enterprise products and just kind of showcasing some of those simple capabilities. To make it not so scary. It's not so bad, right, Nick?
This is some of the best wireless I've worked with. I can probably say I've used about half a dozen different systems in the past, and I've now done a number of different site surveys with your demo, and I'm quite impressed at the range and the capabilities. It's really good wireless.
Well, always happy to hear that. Well, thank you, and thank you, Building Controls Group.
Thank you.
You all enjoyed another edition of what can be accomplished with WiNG technology.
That's right.
Have a great rest of the day. We'll talk to you later.